Hey, it is Dom time. Good Monday. Back at the palatial worldwide headquarters of Talk Radio 1210. But I have a bit of a sure angle. Big CBS poll out, a good one, because it's quite detailed. Certain select questions, a lot of them are making news about the Republican primary, particularly about Trump supporters in the primary. And the one thing, it's a question toward the end. Very important in this debate to hear about what, if you're somebody who's actually going to watch the debate, might vote for one of these people, depending upon what happens with President Trump. Is it illegal immigration? Remember, very conservative crowd. Is it violent crime, number one? No. Lower inflation. Lower inflation. Stop this maniac. That would be Joe Biden. Lower inflation. That's what's on the minds of Americans, second to none. And I agree with that CBS poll, particularly among Republican primary people. But, these guys are jockeying for a position. I've seen some columns today. Heaven forbid. I don't know if McCollum and Brett Baer are going to get into abortion because there's all kinds of different views. I hope not. Please stay away from that. Zone in on inflation. Make the case of yourself and against Biden. So I happened to see this report about the shore. The Inquirer has a woman at the shore, does a good Shuby report. And in here, they're talking about the high cost of rents. Now, I think rents could be something I don't quite see fully how Biden's inflation would inflate these prices as much as demand, but I think it's somewhat of it. But then the people talking about inflation, they're robbers. Ocean City, this one person said. Over the years, I watched the rents go up from $900 per week to over $5,000 per week. That's insane. So the market is responding. And in August and early September, there are holes in these rentals. But here's where it goes too far. And here's the problem. And these are people that strike me the way they write that follow the news. One guy writes, we just returned from the shore. 1 week, $5,000. The next week, $3,500. Complaining about that. Okay. I have owned a home, but sold it in 2014. Those rents are out of sight. But it's worse than that. Mac and Manco, plain pizza, $39. Crazy. But this guy's blaming Mac and Manco for that. Are they responsible? Well, first of all,
$39 for a pizza?
Okay, well, first of all, though, they claim that claim, the Inquirer even says their plain pie is $25.75. The specialty pie is upwards of 39 and 15 cents or something. All right, if they are, and those are high prices, do you blame that? Is Biden going to win by saying they're robbers? It's not Bidenomics. These people are using Bidenomics as a scare tactic to say we're going to jack up prices. We're robbers. So is it Mac and Manco or is it Bidenomics? Then this guy says, and this is nuts. This guy's nuts from the Inquirer. One lunch at the Dovell Inn for 4 adults and 3 kids. So 3 of them are kids. I don't know how old the kids are. He says kids. So I guess they're under 12 or 13, right? 4 adults. So that's 7 people. Well, 3 kids under that. That's 1.5. $340. Well, doesn't this guy check any prices?
Wow.
Yeah. Well, wait a minute. I want to know how many drinks do they have? How many drinks, buddy? If this guy Richard, who wrote this in the Inquirer, is part of their column. So with the rents, I don't know that inflation, Bidenomics, affects a rent. Like, say you were renting for, $1,500 a week, and suddenly it's $2,500. I don't know that there's a factor out there that I could blame Biden. And I'm looking, help me, this maniac, of what he's done. But with pizza, it's an obvious thing. And finding help, they have to pay a hell of a lot more. They can't find help. All over the shore, you're still hearing that constantly. Mayor Pete was talking to me about it yesterday. And as far as the Dovell Inn, it's a fine spot, $340 for 4 adults and 3 kids.
Wow.
That is a lot. I would think even with tip, I don't know if that includes tip or not, that should be under you for lunch. Now that's lunch, not dinner. That should be under $200, maybe in the 175 range, maybe in the 150 range. I could see that including tip. I don't know the Dovell Inn except great reputation. So who's responsible for that? Apparently, these people in the Inquirer, they're blaming the pizza place and the Dovell Inn and people at the shore as robbers. Now, the rental costs have skyrocketed. I think they outpriced themselves. People had an urge beginning of this year and last year to go back to the shore. We talked about why we were there. So maybe they overpriced. Maybe some of it is Bidenomics. But the number one issue that Republicans have to be creative about and not let this clown get away with it is simple. It's inflation. It's out of control, and it's not going to go back. Make people understand when they hear, oh, that month inflation dropped to this. No, that's not really the case. It may be not going up as fast, but it's not going to go back. It's not going to go down unless we have different leadership, and it's going to take a lot to deal with that. And every time the Fed gets involved and they try to do something along those lines, what do they end up doing? Well, on the other side, if you're going to buy a house, mortgage rates, I saw on Friday, were going up to 8%. That's a 40 or 50 or 60 or 70-year high. He has screwed this up. He's going to continue to do it if he's anywhere near re-election. He can't spend money fast enough, government money. It does all kinds of negative things. So I'd love to hear from you. Do you think people get where this inflation is coming from? Now, Biden's numbers are woeful on that, but they're not woeful enough. That exactly is being pinned on what he has unleashed here. That's my point. All right, now, the CBS poll. Oh, by the way, so I don't forget this fun fact. In Chicago, maybe we'll try this here in Philadelphia. Chicago Democratic Alderwoman Maria Hayden has passed an ordinance. It's asked gang members to refrain from shootouts between 9 a.m. and 9 p.m.
Please.
To reduce the risk to people not involved in what she calls, not criminal behavior, of course, high-risk activities. An email from known as the People's Ordinance. It says making a deal with dangerous gang members will help keep the liberal city safer from accidental killings. We have to start somewhere, says we have to get these people, the Rogers Park-based Native Sons. Our goal is to approach our city's gun violence strategically. Shootings are up significantly in this area.
Are you kidding me?
If people we're going to get these people on. If people know that after a certain hour, the likelihood of them being shot by an unknown and unprovoked assailant is at a higher risk, they'll be less likely to be out and about and may become more proactive with the supervision of their kids. When those who live a certain lifestyle try to hang with regular class citizens, they put everyone at risk. A certain lifestyle. Gangbangers. In other words, when nighttime hits, the city turns into the purge. Let's just have a purge in places like Chicago. This is an actual ordinance. An older woman's involved. Now, maybe...
Just asking politely to please stop shooting.
Maybe Larry Krasner should be asked by the media about something like, well, that sounds like a plan. We should start there. Why are you rejecting it? All right, 855-839-1210. You get on board. All right, a little bit more from this.
I'm just going to stop you. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Do you think Sherrell Parker's going to come in and have the same kind of mentality?
No, I don't think so. But some people on city council, Isaiah Thomas, the guy with the driving equity bill.
Very true.
He certainly might look at that. All right, the CBS poll that I told you about, man, some of these things are, remember, this is CBS. Trump has just captured this primary. All right, Trump's opponents, what should they do in the debate? Should they make the case for themselves? Should they make the case against Trump? 91% said make the case for yourself. Don't make a case against Trump. Well, if you don't make the case against Trump, what are you hoping will happen? Well, the ones not making a case against Trump, and I think they're the smart ones, are hoping that somehow or another Trump is caught up legally, health-wise, or something like that. That's the only shot they have.
I would even say that maybe some of them are thinking, if I speak kindly of Trump on the campaign trail, maybe there's a spot in the cabinet for me when things settle.
Maybe that too. I think some of them are actually running for president, though. All right, the latest Trump indictment, CBS poll. Which concerns you more? 77%, the indictment is politically motivated. 8%, surprisingly, saying Trump tried to overturn the presidential election. What are your reasons? Here's the part of the poll I wanted to drill down.
72% of people.
77.
Wow, that's really telling. They're more concerned about the indictments themselves and what they're saying about Trump.
Well, I'm kind of surprised by the 8% who said Trump trying to overturn the presidential election.
Yeah.
All right, here's the one that I like. Top reasons for considering Trump. 99%, things were better under Trump. Now you can see that in comparison to Biden. Here's the one, though, that shows you why it's so hard to beat Trump. Trump fights for people like me, 95%. That's even better than things were better. See, things were better under Trump is kind of transactional. I want to get back to that. This inflation's killing me and all. That's big. That really is helpful. But even bigger, he fights for people like me. That's golden. All right, just one more out of this poll that I thought was, here. All right. Which one of the following four would you feel what they tell you is true? And this one I do resent a little bit. Trump, friends or family, conservative media figures, or religious leaders? All right, Dan, those are your four choices. Which one would be number one if they tell you it's true?
So Trump? The question and the answers again are?
Yeah. The question is, who is it that you believe them most? They tell you it's true, you believe it. Is it Trump, friends and family, conservative media figures, or religious figures?
I would hope it's friends and family.
Okay, that's second place. Wow, religious figures. Well, religious figures come in fourth with 42%.
Wow, I didn't expect that.
The one that I resent is conservative media figures. How dare you? We're only at 56%. Friends and family, 63%, and Trump, 71%. So Trump, you would believe it's true over religious figures. Man, wow, that's going to be hard to beat. If Franklin Graham's standing there and he says, no, this is true, and Trump says, nope, you're wrong, Frankie. It's not true. This is true. They're going to believe Trump, not Franklin Graham. Oh, man. That's going to be hard to beat. That tells you what a tough road it is for Republican candidates. All right, love to get you in. Do you notice that people with inflation, with the ridiculous stuff? First of all, look, you look at the prices. 7 of you are going to the Deauville Inn for lunch. Don't you say, wow, this looks kind of pricey. You just blow in there and spend $340. By the way, that's what? That's like a $70 to $75 tip. When you're getting into the $70 to $75 tip range, maybe $100.
I implore any listener to go through drive-through and get a meal for two, like 2 meals for under $20.
Right.
Like, it used to be you go to Applebee's, they had the 2 for $20. Now it's like a 2 for $30 at Applebee's. Everything is ridiculously expensive.
Right. Now, who is it? Well, these people at the Inquirer are ganging up. They don't like the rental prices. And look, I said the rental prices may be due to the people that overpriced. I get that. But the pizza place is not just all of a sudden charging you $39 just because they're robbers and they're on the boardwalk. Yeah, no, it's Bidenomics. I'm sure everything, including labor and keeping labor. And
you want to hear something that really angered me about inflation? Maybe
sure.
I grew up in Cherry Hill. It's a great house on the east side of Cherry Hill. I loved it. A beautiful basement. We moved out. The family after us renovated it. Beautiful renovations. Back in 2019, it went on the market, Dom, for $285,000. Wow. And we were thinking to ourselves, should we buy my childhood home, move back in? How cool would that be? I kick myself now because, Dom, I went and looked at the estimated comp. Market value, yeah, $478,000. And this is what, 4 years ago?
They're robbers. That's all.
It's
They're
it's
robbers.
nuts. It's nuts.
Everybody's a
They're
robber. It's not the forces that have tinkered with the economy. That would be Joe Biden. All right, we're monitoring, at least I am here so far, where Biden is going to be in Hawaii. What's going on with that? We'll bring you that. Side question today. One of the next couple of days. I mean, it's a national day of, so it could be today, tomorrow, is National Fairy Tooth Day. You know, the fairy godmother will come. You put your tooth under the pillow. I'm sure maybe 80% of or 70% are against that now. There's some reason you can't do that. So we thought something that scared you when you were a child, young child, but, you know, not going to scare you too much, maybe when you're 15, 18. And then you saw as an adult or as you grew a bit older, what are you afraid of? I'm thinking of the scene in Home Alone. They do a cool thing where the furnace looks like a monster. And then later on, the kid says, stop making noise. All right. Now, for me, at King of Peace, this is early grades. There was this woman in the neighborhood who was a bit disturbed. Old Mrs. Potato Head. If you went to King of Peace, you may remember it.
What a great name.
That's the name I remember, Old Mrs. Potato Head. And, you know, back then, the lineup at schools, it could be a couple hundred kids, and you would hear the buzz, Old Mrs. Potato Head's coming down the street. And she would go, wow, like that. And there were rumors that she cooked kids, maybe with potatoes, maybe sometimes, and sometimes not.
So, you know, whenever Omar comes in the wire, he starts his whistle and the kids just scramble, run away. Is that how Old Mrs. Potato Head was?
Yes. Well, you know, and even if she weren't coming, kids would do it to other kids to scare them.
I love it.
And you're in first, second, third grade, and you hear Old Mrs. Potato Head. You don't want to be snatched up.
So did you ever find out who Old Mrs. Potato Head was? And was she like anything to be concerned about? Or
she just, I don't know if she passed or I didn't see her after maybe the second or third
probably
grade.
just got a kick out of scaring you kids.
Yes. Oh, she did.
Yeah.
Because, you know, she dressed in a certain odd way and she would make faces. She would yell sometimes, not even if you said anything or not, but it was Old Mrs. Potato Head. I don't know why the potato head, why that came from. It's a floor. Anybody from King of Peace at a certain age, you may remember that. How about yours, Dan?
I feel like every kid has some weird irrational fear that your parents are just completely annoyed with. That they're like, come on, kid, it's really not that bad. Like, get over it.
Right.
And mine was a little bit more real. Like, thunderstorms, Dom. I don't know what it was, but anytime I saw any clouds that looked darker than average, you know, darker than the overcast clouds, I would fly to my basement. Man, I was like a fifth grader. I'd run to the nurse's office because I was so petrified of thunderstorms.
Fifth grade. That's pretty good.
But then I moved out to Indiana, you know, after middle school for high school. And when you move out to Indiana and you have tornado warnings every other week, you kind of have to. It's like being thrown into the fire. And I was able to get over it. And now, you know, I look forward to thunderstorms because that's when it's very relaxing. I don't know what it is. I love thunderstorms.
All right. So that's the side question. By the way, on a note, what a day. Thanks to Johnny and the whole crowd there, including that was no made-up story. One of the waitresses came out of retirement because of the swell of the crowd, deputized her on the spot, just so they had enough frontline troops there. But the Earl of Tacony was there, Tom of Marlton, full gear, including the shorts, Hawaiian, and Gary of Newtown, a.k.a. President Biden Pinocchio, stole the crowd, among others that were there. It was just an unbelievable summer with mulligans. Don't forget on Hildreth Avenue, you're still going back to the shore, wherever. They're there throughout the year. Great dinners, too. Loved our time there. Friday may have been the best one yet. All right, phone lines are 855-839-1210. That's how you get in. Do people get where inflation has come from? Or are they going to be able to play this argument? No, they're just robbers. You know, this is what Democrats always say. Businesses are just taking advantage of you. Inflation should not be that bad. Now, with Shore Reynolds, I don't know about taking advantage, but they do seem to have gotten out of control. Okay. But the pizza people suddenly are irrational and charging $39 for a pizza. The Dovell Inn, that'll be $340. All right. So it's 855. Yeah, where's that guy? We have to turn him against Biden. Yeah. 855-839-1210. That's how you get in here on Talk Radio 1210.
People working 8 hours a day, 40 hours a week. Some a third job. Why? The rent is too damn high. The people I'm here to represent can't afford to.
Dom Giordano Show. Welcome in 855-839-1210. So the debate, we're going to talk with Bill Hemmer, who's there and will be there in Milwaukee. He and Dana Perino, the pre-debate show at 1:45 today. But the story, Vivek Ramaswamy, all over the place. You can see that he is a player in this in various regards, because Nikki Haley just went after him a couple moments ago. Vivek says he'd like to, by 2028, decrease over the weekend the aid that we send to Israel. I differ with him on that. I don't know why, his rationale for that. But also, even CNN has a piece up. Some of these national pro-life groups, two of them now, and one, it's a national group too, questioning how can we have Vivek Ramaswamy as a president since he's a Hindu? Wow. A couple of these pro-life groups, and I'll name names, we go for it, that they have to be tuned up quite a bit here. They're in the road, winning back the White House. They're nonsense. So this guy is out. Yeah, apparently he worships many gods. That's out. This is as bad as anything we saw with Kennedy or others when it came to their faith. The other charge on Vivek is, and maybe early on there was some of this, he's really a stalking horse for Trump to take out Ron DeSantis. In other words, he's a cultural warrior. In fact, we have David Axelrod talking about, here's cut 7, Axelrod, who you may not like his politics, but he's a savvy political strategist, making the point that he's much more effective than DeSantis in articulating these so-called cultural war issues. Here's David Axelrod.
Unbelievable case of malpractice, because none of the things they recommended he can now do, or he'll look like a trained SEAL act and everybody will point that out. So he can't do that. But the interesting thing about that to me was the reference to Ramaswamy, who started off as an unknown and has proven himself to be a much more effective culture warrior than DeSantis himself, going after the woke and so on. He's just been much more compelling at it. And I think, what's going to be interesting on that stage to some degree is the interaction between Ramaswamy and Christie. I imagine that Christie will continue to go after Trump because that's the basic premise of his campaign, and Ramaswamy is going to appoint himself, as he has on the stump, the number one defender of Trump. And I think there'll be some fireworks between them, but the others have to find a way to break through, to convey a message, and to do it in a way that will provide viral hits, because most people won't be watching this debate. So they need to provide viral hits that give people a sense of why they should be for them. It's a tough task.
Well, I really hope, and this is just, the way I look at the world, I guess. I hope Vivek Ramaswamy, if nothing else, tunes up Christie. Now, it's not easy to do. I told you, on his feet, this blowhard is very good. I hope, though, he'll be going after Trump. Maybe he'll go after DeSantis. And then all of a sudden, Ramaswamy is able to, because I think it'll be no holds barred. He might say anything to Christie. Yeah, I'm looking. That's kind of the side event, to see Christie get tuned up in this, because he's going to come snorting. Let's see if he's making any snorting noises like he did with me right before he comes on. Yeah. All right. That'll be ready for that. One last thing, and then I'll take some calls. Here is the governor, Josh Green, the governor of Hawaii. Now, this guy, I don't think is that skilled, but yesterday on one of the Sunday shows, he played it this way. The nonsense that these incompetents did, and we talked about this last week, the guy who was for water equity, the guy that would hit the sounder when the flames were coming in Maui. These incompetents, yeah, he says, maybe we didn't do everything perfectly, but it's really climate change that amplified normal human error. This is not normal human error. These are incompetents who get away with a paradise so they don't have to do anything. Listen to the mayor teeing up Joe Biden's visit. Cut 10.
I've seen footage of how it looked during the fire and how things were exploding and what the fierce winds looked like. They were 80 miles per hour gusting.
Mm-hmm.
And the fire, I'm now told, was as high as 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit. It just destroyed everything. It's not to excuse anything else from any company. It's just to explain what the world should prepare for. And I humbly ask all of the cities and states to spend that money now to prevent disasters like we're seeing here.
Why didn't you do it?
Just to be clear, when you're talking about global warming, are you saying that climate change amplified the cost of human error?
Yes, it did. There's always going to be incredible things that people do to save lives, from the firefighters, from citizens, and there's always going to be decisions that are made that I'm sure aren't perfect in the moment. But when you have fire that moved more than a mile a minute, and what happened, I'm told by some of the survivors, they were at the initial fire. It was put out sometime late in the afternoon in Lahaina. And then the firefighters had to go to 3 other fires that had started because of the conditions. When they left, the fire stirred up again. And then when the storm winds from Dora, which were that strong, swept it out, it just destroyed everything. So there's no excuses to ever be made, but there are finite resources sometimes in the moment.
Oh God, that guy's good. The dancing, they're doing the cha-cha there with the Sullivan woman from the Meet the Press or Face the Nation. The idea being, yes, it's amplified by that. Yeah, you may have not been perfect. You were a 9.9, but that 1/10 of 1%, well, that with climate, that's it. You got to be perfect. Why didn't they spend more in advance? He's in charge of things in Hawaii. Didn't they recognize any of these? You're going to hear more and more of this play out today with Biden. Will Biden just shock us and declare a national climate emergency? Now, you know what comes with that? That's just not an idle threat. You could have lockdowns. You could have all kinds of things. I don't sense that he's going to do that today, but we'll see. All right, let's go to a side question. Joel in Jamison. Joel, who do you have here? What's your thing that scared you as a kid? Hi. Thank you. That is what made you get over it. That is a good one. That's exactly the type of thing we're looking for. You can take it from any kind of angle that you want. Oh, this can't be true. SUNY Buffalo, the college, is evicting 44 migrants from their dormitories to make way for students. They were getting paid for this and all. Wait a minute. I'm sure those students wouldn't mind having the migrants there in their dorm. That doesn't seem to be right. I'm going to have to check and see why SUNY Buffalo is doing that. And the complex, the tent complex that they set up in New York is going to cost $20 million a month. Curtis Sliwa was arrested chaining himself to it over the weekend. $20 million a month. 855-839-1210. Hey, do you feel like you're always looking for another energy boost? Then try Rescue Orosine from Rescue Natural Supplements. As we age, our bodies don't tend to produce enough natural fuel to get rid of that stubborn feeling of fatigue. Well, Rescue Orosine provides just that. Orosine helps by boosting energy production at the cellular level while also supporting a healthy heart and blood pressure. Right now, our exclusive offer to Dom listeners, you can buy 1 bottle of Orosine, get another free. Just use the code FUEL when placing your order. Call today at 800-26-ALIVE, 800-262-5483. Speak to a knowledgeable product consultant or use the code online when you visit res-q.com. res-q.com. Make sure when you mention the code FUEL when you call or use the code at the online checkout. Again, use the code FUEL when buying a single bottle of Oracine. Get that second bottle absolutely free.
Sunshine this afternoon, hot and humid, 92. Will feel like 95 this afternoon. A cold front brings us cooler, more comfortable weather for Tuesday and Wednesday. Decreasing clouds Tuesday, a high of 81 degrees. Then lots of sunshine for Wednesday, a morning low of 62, up to 83 in the afternoon. I'm NBC 10 First Alert meteorologist Bill Henley.
Weather sponsored by American Heritage Credit Union, the place for first-time home buyers, with in-house realtors and a $500 lender credit for new homeowners. Visit AmericanHeritageCU.org/FTH for details. Loan subject to credit approval, insured by NCUA, Equal Housing Lender, NMLS 433838.
The Securities and Exchange Commission regulates our nation's Wall Street firms, and their top attorney exposes one of the many hidden threats to your 401k and mutual fund accounts in the stunning documentary film, The Baby Boomer Dilemma.
My name is Edward Siddell. I'm a former SEC attorney who has pioneered the field of forensic investigations of pensions and retirement plans. 0.5% or more a year in excessive fees causes your average American worker to have maybe 60% what they would have in their 401k balance had they been in lower cost mutual funds.
Learn how to eliminate market risk and fees from your retirement future. Reserve your seat for the next private screening of The Baby Boomer Dilemma at the William Penn Inn on September 12th. Registration is required. 800-722-9728 or crashproofretirement.com.
Hey guys, it is Nick Cale, and as you know, I have recently leased 2023 Ridgeline from Piazza Honda of Springfield. If you are a truck person like me, now is the time to visit Piazza Honda in Springfield, Philadelphia, Langhorne, Pottstown, or Reading to take advantage of 0.9% APR or get special finance rates on the Honda Civic, Accord, CRV, Pilot, and more. The Piazza Auto Group now with 17 brands and 35 locations, my go-to for all things automotive. To find your new or certified pre-owned vehicle, visit today at piazzaautogroup.com.
Parks Casino. Joe Conklin hosts national comedians every other Thursday. It's Joe Conklin's Comedy Night at Parks. Show dates and tickets. Go to joeconklin.com. JoeConklin.com.
Broadcasting live from the Cherry Hill Volvo Studios, where relationships matter. Talk Radio 1210, WPHT, and on the free Odyssey app.
Good Monday, everyone. Dom Giordano Show. Of course, we'll have Dom's Money Melody later on. Side question. We got off to a good start with Joel. Something that's a tooth fairy day. Something that frightened you as a young kid, but you grew out of, or maybe you didn't. Maybe you still have a remnant of it.
I love Brian's answer on Twitter. He says that big clock in the Willow Grove Mall when it would ring. Yeah, I know. That's a little bit weird.
That's what we're looking for. Yes, that's a good one. Why would that do it with you, the big clock in the Willow Grove Mall?
And an irrational fear that I feel a lot of people have from Joey K. I'm going to take it off the board, but quicksand.
That's a real good one. Yeah, how often do you think you're going to fall in the quicksand here in the Philadelphia area?
Every movie and TV show at some point has it, but yeah.
Yeah. All right. The American Academy of Pediatrics, just probably one of the worst medical groups. Released today, they are going to have an all-out campaign to get rid of, by law, not to say it's actually happening, but even on the books, the use of corporal punishment. It's either expressly allowed or not expressly prohibited in 23 states, said the Education Secretary Miguel A. Cardona. Furthermore, researchers have determined the use of corporal punishment in schools is likely underreported. 96% of public schools say they no longer strike students. Nearly 70,000 a year are struck at least once by school personnel, some say. Now, here's my beef with this with the American Academy of Pediatrics. They're the same group, though, that puberty blockers, minors, gender-affirming care, there's nothing there to see. That's all on the good side. But their policy this year, with all that raging, is going to be to get rid of banning spanking in all schools, no matter what. Now, I can't imagine, but stuff can always happen. Maybe it's, I don't want to stereotype, but it's probably down south. The article says the same thing, that spanking still may be going on.
Really?
Occasionally, yeah. But I mean, I'm a product of Catholic school, and I saw all kinds of things. Then at Newman, even more, the
You guys
type
had
of
like the
stuff.
paddle in a frame above the teacher, didn't
Yeah,
you?
yes. I mean, some of those nuns, it was rumored again. Here's the frightening, the wild stories that they would soak their ruler in brine and things like that, kind of like a baseball bat. So when you got hit with that ruler,
Oy.
and we had one nun, Sister Mary Gerard, who would place your head in between her and give you a double shot like that up around
Oh,
the ears,
no.
like a John Stossel with a wrestler. Yeah.
Wow.
You get hit like that. Yeah. So I'm not condoning all those activities. I don't know if you can hang a kid from a hook, as I've seen kids done in grade school.
So like in the films, movies, I
Yeah.
didn't go to Catholic school, but there have been scenes of like nuns open hand slapping across the face students. Is that
Oh, yeah.
something-
I've seen that. Well, I mean, this is a
Wow.
double shot. This is right around your ears. That's even worse. Most kids wear earmuffs to cafeteria to avoid,
Oy.
cut down on some of the damage. But no, the priest at Newman, it was nuts. I mean, I saw a kid knocked out and they just kept on talking over top of him as they dragged him out of there.
Oh.
That's excessive, but American Academy of Pediatrics, not as much to say about these ghoulish things going on with young kids, puberty blockers, gender affirming, and all those things related to it. So on Friday, we had on Robin Schaefer has become a friend. We are talking, he's talking with Kelsey Grammer. I think it's going to happen that Kelsey Grammer is going to come on and want to do a lot of things around the wind turbines. But over the weekend, was this Monday morning, a boat captain on the Barnegat Bay on Monday morning found a dead dolphin floating near the Island State Park.
Oh.
He was providing a boating lesson when he spotted it, thought it may have been trash or something of that nature. That is the 40th death this year in New Jersey of a dolphin. I don't have the exact with whales, but the numbers are
How many again?
astronomical.
I missed that.
40 dolphins.
Wow.
Yeah. And these numbers are higher, and we're only into August, than they've ever been. All circumstance? No, they don't care. He's still determined he is going to shove this through, even though there are signs, as we've told you, of this cracking of it weakening. It's ghastly to see this stuff, to imagine it's going on right here, but that's the type of mentality over in New Jersey. And I'm looking at a Monmouth poll, and Phil Murphy still has well over a 50% approval. Are these people? This is a sign of a massive indictment to ship these people out of Jersey and to do something with them. That's still they're approving. Is it the hair? Is it Miss Kim? There's a lieutenant governor slot there. I think he could do a whole lot worse than Miss Kim. Could you see? I do hair. Yes. She'll be fine. She's the architect of the hair. I have to say, I think the hair looks better than the previous hair.
Speaking of that lieutenant governor spot, how's that work? Is it an election?
I think he appoints somebody. I don't think there's a special election.
Is there any way that this, retiring Norcross could wiggle his way in there?
Okay, no, I don't think so. Yeah, do the job from Florida. There's not too much to do as lieutenant governor here. So that's why I suggested Miss Kim.
Just when you thought you were out.
God. And he's running for president or something like it at some point, Phil Murphy. One other item that I wanted to make sure that I mentioned, and this is the New York Times talking about it. The New York Times and Politico both reported over the weekend that U.S. Attorney, now Special Counsel David Weiss, did not want to charge Hunter Biden with anything. Okay? Now, some are suggesting, Bill O'Reilly sent me this on some stuff he sends me. O'Reilly says, does this signal the liberal press is turning against the Bidens? Too soon to say that. But if they sense Biden would lose and it becomes clear and clear, then yeah, they will do that to try to shove Gavin Newsom or somebody else in there. But this guy was not going to charge after anything. after Hunter Biden. All right. All right, let's go to Pat in Southwest Philly. Pat's in on Talk Radio 1210. Hey, Pat, good afternoon.
Hey, Don, my buddy, my Seattle buddy. How are you, buddy?
Very well, Pat.
I'm going to lay this on you, number one. I went to the biggest Catholic grade school in the history of in the United States.
Most Blessed Sacrament? Most Blessed Sacrament?
Most Blessed Sacrament.
Yeah, of course.
MBS.
We played in basketball. How are we supposed to compete with, like, in the 8th grade, 40 kids? They had like 4,000. They sent a mob onto the court, Dan. If they fouled out, they found another mob onto the court. Come on.
Tom, I played basketball for MBS. I got out in '68. I went to MBS for 8 years and kindergarten. So, and you got a little milk back then. And then I went to West Catholic. I'm sure you heard of that, right?
Oh, sure.
We were talking about a Catholic high school at first, and he said 8 years. I was very concerned for a second.
So what's your sense of fear? What's yours?
I'm going to be honest. That's why I brought that up. I was petrified for 8 years of them nuns. They would whack you in the knuckles with them 3-cornered rulers, and you couldn't go home and or they'd smack you in the face. I was petrified of the nuns. And then you had to go to another class, and you had a different nun.
That's
you
right.
couldn't hit them. They would put you in a headlock and punch your face, and then you couldn't go home. Because if you went home like that and told your dad, my dad would whack me in the face for getting in trouble.
What did you do it for? Thank you, Pat. Well put. By the way, Dan, great listener suggestion. Was it Dr. Nick? I know it was a doctor right before I went to the shore that said Borgie's by the Bay in Stone Harbor was really good. So we went there, and a listener, Sandy, her husband was on alert. He brings the chef out. Guy was like a Malibu type of guy, sits at the table. We're taking pictures. We ended up eating the homemade pound cake hot with a vanilla ice cream that his mom makes. Oh,
that sounds so good.
Bro, already. Can't we go and get some of that pound cake and take it home? It's in Stone Harbor. Stop it already.
Did Ro get the pan-seared salmon?
Did she have the salmon? Yes.
I knew it.
I had the vegetable penne, violating another one of your rules. Don't get something at a restaurant. You can make it home.
There's a lobster ravioli on the menu, Don. Why would you not order that? Come on.
I don't like what happens to the lobsters, how they keep them right before you go. I was watching them in a tank at the Giant yesterday. Not good.
I ever tell you that my parents, for most of my childhood, would tell me that, when it would start to steam and make like the tea kettle sound, that was actually the lobster screaming. So I believe that my parents were.
There you go. There's a frightening thing. All right. That's our side question today. Tooth Fairy month or day. Hit us with something that frightened you as a young child, probably. Outside the box. It could be anything. And you might say how you got over it if you did. Hey, there are certain home maintenance chores we'd all rather not do, like repainting the exterior of your home every 5 years. Who wants to do that? Here's an incredible permanent solution, though. Rhino Shield. Rhino Shield takes care of that. It looks like paint, goes on like paint, but it never chips, cracks, or fades. It's ceramic coating. It's guaranteed for life. You never have to paint again. The local Rhino Shield owner, John Gilgee, is a great guy, friend of the program. I'm impressed with the product, the company, and what listeners tell me about it. It's perfect for any surface. You get the beauty of fresh paint with the maintenance of vinyl. Even insulate your home. Comes with a 25-year guarantee that you can transfer if you sell your home. Now, John meets with as many homeowners as he can himself, and they've helped thousands of Delaware Valley residents, including many Dom listeners, upgrade the look and quality of their home. Just call him. Still time to save an incredible 20%. Visit myrhinoshield.com or call 844-RHINO-99. 844-RHINO-99.
Kale and Company weekday mornings 6 till 10.
I want to know why Dawn Stensland
Dom Giordano's show, 855-839-1210. By the way, Declan O'Scanlan will be here today at 2 o'clock. This guy does great work in New Jersey, state senator. He got the red light cameras essentially taken out in Jersey. He's on the fact that after all this, Rutgers University, as we speak, is in the process of expelling any student who still has not complied with getting the COVID shot. And again, the lack of science on this, it's not the boosters, which would have some impact. I don't even know how the original COVID shot would, if that's what they're saying. So it's disenrolling students, joining one of maybe 100 colleges in the country, but this one's a big one under state control right here. What can be done about that? He's here at 2 o'clock, even though you think this is past. No, they're waiting to pounce at any moment and go back to it because we haven't had a day of reckoning where people have been punished. By that, I mean not put in jail, but punished monetarily or punished in the court of public opinion or politically punished. People just seem to have blown past it because of the pressing issues around Trump and inflation and things like that. But it's still with us. It's right here in front of us. Now, speaking of that, this is cut 6, Dan. Listen to this MSNBC panel get worked up. They're convinced themselves now that this is a dirty, dangerous jail that they're going to be throwing Trump in on Friday. And all these, double figures of other people charged along with Trump because of what happened in Georgia. In other words, they're saying this isn't one of those little federal buildings. This is the actual type of thing you would see in The Wire or some prison film. Yeah, Trump's going to be walking the line. Listen to this.
We need Earl to write us a Fulton Prison
Yeah,
Blues.
that's right. We need something for Friday, Earl. Something creative. It doesn't seem now like they're going to do the mugshot. I think Trump wants the mugshot, be the most famous image of the last 100 years. I think he would sell it. All right, here's the MSNBC crowd getting in a lather, though, about how bad this jail is going to be.
Trump, the 18 other co-defendants, they must surrender in Fulton County by Friday. How is this process in Georgia going to be different from what we've seen in federal court?
Going to be very different because they have said that they are going to do mugshots and fingerprints. And he will be turning himself in at the Fulton County Jail, not in a federal building, not in a clean, nice environment. It is, from what we hear from the press, a really dirty, dangerous, scary place. So it's going to be a very different picture. And I think the picture of him there, I think his experience of being in a real jail, I can tell you that some of the Watergate defendants, when they were put in the DC jail, really freaked out. And we had to move them to a Army base where they could be housed without being in fear at all times so that they could cooperate and testify.
All right, let's break this down. First of all, the Secret Service is going to be there, right? These fantasies. And notice this is the same tactic, the very same people, MSNBC, weak on crime and criminals, etc. When it comes to the opposing party, be it Watergate, be it January 6th, be it Trump now, they wish the worst. They want this to be a hellhole. They're all going to rat on Trump. That's the fantasy. That's where this is going to go. That's how we're going to take him down. He's going to be scared to death. He's going to be screaming, "Mama," while he's there. I don't think that's happening in this jail, in this situation. Take the long view. You know, my word with all this is discovery. What we're going to discover about the election of 2020, what we're going to discover about January 6th and FBI involvement and all those things, is going to be a massive amount of stuff that Trump's attorneys and Trump will get coming around that. By the way, maybe not surprisingly, on my poll at Dom Show 1210, do you think Trump should participate in any debates? Because last night he seemed to indicate he wouldn't do any. That may be where he is right now. Most people are saying yes to that. There are a lot of people who say they don't care. Only about 20% saying no, stay away from all of them. And Trafalgar, Robert Cahaley, our go-to guy on polling, says if the election were held tomorrow, primaries, Trump would get around 46 point something of voters, DeSantis at around 13% maybe. All right, so DeSantis is the one with the most on the line in the debate on Wednesday night. And yet he's going to be under fire the most. I am so turning away from any sort of even vice presidential consideration for Nikki Haley. She said over the weekend, well, we're only spending about 5% of the U.S. military budget on Ukraine. You know how big that budget is? 5%? How about if we don't spend that 5% on that? All right, you've heard me talk about my friend, board-certified prosthodontist, and my dentist, Dr. Robert Bentz of the Bentz Dental Group in East Norriton. He's nationally, locally recognized as one of the area's top prosthodontists. And I always talk about stopping in, getting an update from him. It's always something different. We've been talking about those 3D printers that I told you about. I told you before when he initially got them, how convenient it made things for you. Fit, comfort, more precise. He's got great people that craft your teeth. But he told me something new. It also allows him to think more of different patient solutions, give you more options to help achieve your overall goals and do it as simply as possible. Local dentists get this. They send him their more complex cases. Now, that's rare. You don't meet too many people that get all these referrals, but you do with Dr. Bentz. Get that initial look-see. Now's a good time of the year to do it. Call him at 610-272-6949. Make that appointment today. That's the Bentz Dental Group, 610-272-6949. My good friend, more importantly, my dentist, at your service to get your dental health on track at 610-272-6949.